Oh, I
Stanford
thought
का
it
वो
was
tower है.
GTEC's this thing, Tech Tower.
हाँ. This is Stanford's. It's a very iconic tower. So if you see most pictures of the Stanford campus, you'll see this tower with the two wings on either end, and there's an open lawn in front of it. So that's like the most one of the most iconic this thing landmarks that you people usually see when you think about Stanford. Even for Harvard, the I don't remember the name of the hall, but there's this big ornate wooden hall uh, in which CS 066 something. I mean, I don't remember the course, but that is one of the most popular courses, like almost one of the most popular courses ever. Introduction to Computer Science or something, CS 066 or something. So it's like a very big hall. It's almost filled. I think, yeah, I think Perkins only. Like, I remember seeing one of those shorts or reels, whatever you call it, where they showed the inside of the hall. So it looked very cool. Okay, think sufficient number of people have come. So, okay. All right, so we'll start. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nihal Sharma. I was the past president of ISA Manipal, and I am currently a fourth year mechatronics student. So I'm representing ISA Manipal and in collaboration with the mechatronics peer program to give you this talk on pursuing high studies after graduation. Now, I myself have applied to universities for pursuing masters in robotics in USA, and till now I've gotten a reply from University of Delaware, Newark. I'm still awaiting replies for the other universities, so they are expected to reply within this month. I got the reply from Delaware in way back in December. Like a very fun thing, I submitted the application on December 6th or something, and I got the reply 3 days later. So I didn't even know they reply so fast. I thought, maybe I missed a document, in my application. Is That's why they made me back. So I opened the link and there was full confetti on the page. And I was sitting with my parents at that time. So we were also surprised that itna jaldi we got a reply. But yeah, so still waiting for the other universities. I'll tell you what universities I did apply to. Um, so I applied only for Masters of Robotics, Masters in Robotics, MS Robotics. So I applied to Carnegie Mellon. I applied to University of Delaware, University of Pennsylvania, University of Michigan, uh, Oregon State University, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, Northeastern University, and Arizona State University. So these are the universities that I have currently applied to. Till now, I have received a reply from Delaware, waiting for the others. So, okay, without further ado, let us begin. Before I move forward, just little disclaimer that I want to give here that so most of the points that I'll talk about in this talk will be specific to pursuing a Masters of Science in the United States of America. Mostly, this procedure will stay the same for other countries also. If I was thinking of Canada, Germany, Japan, even India, for example. Uh, Slight changes here and there, but the general timeline of things, uh, the preparatory stuff that you need to take care of, the application procedure things, are after admissions, what do you usually need to do? They're mostly the same. Of India doesn't have a lot of things to deal with because it's India. We are Indian citizens only, so it's way easier for us to deal with all the formality headache. But for foreign international higher studies, the procedures are mostly the same. So if anyone's thinking of applying to non-USA countries, you guys can definitely stick around. I'll give some closing notes on the other non-USA countries also, like at the end of this talk. Okay, so this is what we'll be covering at a glance. So this is, a TLDR version of what I'll be talking about. Why, first of all, we have to answer the question like, what's the point of doing higher studies? I'll talk a bit about the various entrance exams, the application process, the what are various documents that are required. After receive an offer of admission from the university of your choice, what do you do? And after you've done everything, what's next after masters? So people choose to go for PhD or something else. So I'll speak a bit about that. And again, like I mentioned, non-USA countries have similar procedures. Okay, so coming to the very first, main question before you even decide, what's the point of pursuing higher studies? Okay, can someone tell me what's the point of a master's degree? Anyone? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, obviously. Everyone has their own, motivations for pursuing a master. So you can start with telling me what your motivation is for pursuing a master's degree. So, and we can lead off with that. High salaries and position. Yeah, that is also there because it makes sense because you've been educated at a higher level, so it makes sense that you would be a more valuable person in any organization you join. In-depth specialization, correct. Obviously, a master's degree is a more in-depth study apart from your generalist bachelor's degree. Like if you take, computer science, for example, computer science has so many different fields, software engineering, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, AI, so on and so forth. Now, a BTech CSE guy can obviously be a jack of all trades, but not necessarily a master of none. So you have to become that master of one, which is why you take a master's degree. If you like cybersecurity, you could take a master's in cybersecurity. So even though you may have a background in uh, software engineering or something, you have a stamp of approval saying that you are you have sufficient level of expertise in say cybersecurity. So similarly with any other thing, passion is also there. I mean, I personally wanted to pursue because of the in-depth specialization, and obviously I love robotics and I want to explore the field even more, so which is why I chose to go for a master's in robotics. Now, that is one the main motivations is obviously uh, you become a master, you get higher salaries or higher considerations in any organization you join, and obviously you get to follow your passion. So these are 3 4 main motivations that most people have when they choose to pursue a masters. And of course, if in depending on if you're going abroad, people use this opportunity to gain exposure of countries abroad, like experience what USA is, the people, cultures over there, so on and so forth. Now, one point that I would like to bring up at this juncture is college, normal college versus trade schools. Now, the analogy, the parallel to the Indian version would be, doing a bachelor's degree versus doing a diploma and then, bachelor's degree. The usual schooling structure is you do 11th and 12th and then you do bachelor's. Some people, they do a diploma and then they, continue on in the bachelor's. Like whoever's, if you're a lateral entry student, you might have lateral entry students in your batch class, so on. So they've followed the diploma thing. Now, the main difference between college and trade schools or polytechnics, like that's a usual technical name for them, is that colleges are more academically inclined. So the training that you'll undergo is more towards understanding the proper theory concepts and more towards the research or academics oriented uh, outlook, whereas trade schools are more towards it's just normal training. Imagine you're doing a 2 year industrial training sort of thing, so it's very job focused, and it's designed to get you a job, whereas a master's normal college degree is just for the sake of broadening your horizons, specializing into a particular field. So uh, with respect to this division, there is a Masters of Science and there is a Master of Engineering, like MS and MEng. So the motivations behind each degree is different. MS is more research oriented, and MEng is more technician level or industry slash job oriented. So obviously the education density in trade schools is way less than colleges, but again, it's more on the floor job related as opposed to just simple uh, academic or research level thing. So that is one factor that you should probably consider in case you are looking at something like this, because college degrees are fine, but when you I don't know about the state of India, because over here labor is pretty cheap, but when you go talk about the foreign countries like the states and everything, over there labor is very expensive, as in plumbers, painters. I mean, I'm taking very low blue collar examples here, but working on the logic, CNC machinists, factory floor managers, all these sorts of people, they earn quite a lot compared to India, where labor is cheap and you can find these sorts of people anywhere. So if anyone wants to make a quick buck without much stress, so trade schools could be an alternative that you want to pursue, because college debt and all that is also there. So anyway, so I won't touch on this topic further. Just most people don't really know about this thing, which is why I thought I should bring it up. Okay, moving on to degree versus job. So now that you've decided that you want to pursue a college degree, when do you do it? Do you do it immediately after graduation, or do you do it after gaining some work experience? Now, obviously, each has its pros and cons, and I've outlined the main things over here. If you go for my personal opinion on this is that once you really start earning, and you settle down, so to speak, you can't really segue back to the the learning sort of thing. I mean, I'm seeing it right now, because in my final project I have to go work in the lab whole day. So I'm finding it kind of difficult to set some time aside for doing some personal Coursera or some other personal learning that I want to do, because I'm focused in that whatever work that I'm doing. So people who go for jobs after immediately after graduating with their bachelor's degree, they might have some difficulty to segue back to the college lifestyle. And also some companies do not allow that sort of thing, as in they tell the employees that if you wish to go for a master's, you resign, go do your degree, and then come back. We won't consider you, keep you on the employee role while you're doing your masters. Obviously there are some companies who have some sort of policy in place for these matters, but by and large the general policy is this, that don't you're not a employee as long as you're not working inside the company. So if you're going for a master's or anything, so you're not an employee, then uske baad they tell you we'll see. So that's a bit risky, I would say. um, but on the other end, at least when you have a job, you have money to support yourself, which again, high studies abroad is pretty expensive, as if anyone has done some research on the costs involved, they will know. For example, off the top of my head, I can tell you all about Pittsburgh, which is where Carnegie Mellon is situated. Um, the tuition fee itself is like a good 50 60k dollars, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 60k dollars for 1 year. That plus 20k for other living expenses and everything, rent, khana pina, all that sort of thing. That the grand total is 80k dollars. So that is very close to 50 lakhs plus. I mean, I ballpark estimate, but yeah, definitely 50 lakhs plus is kind of a range that you need to take care of if you're looking at abroad studies. I mean, even if the education is cheap over there, other miscellaneous costs can build up on this financial burden that you as a student would have to experience, and your family would have to experience. Obviously, this financial value would differ based on the country, but by and large, it's generally more expensive. Uh, but of course, you can choose what you want to do in a master's. In a job, if you enter a company expecting one profile, but then you get handed another profile. Like I can say this firsthand, not firsthand, like secondhand, seeing my own friends who've gotten placements. They applied for XYZ software engineering profile, but then once they got in, companies like, hello, bye, we are shifting you off to some other department. So you've got to deal with it, got to go with the flow. But obviously, in case you do proceed with a job in a field of your choosing, like so let's say I joined a robotics startup instead of doing masters in robotics, so I would get experience based learning, where I would learn on the job what are the tricks and tips for working on the field, in that field, as opposed to study based learning which I would have in the masters. So these are the pros and cons of doing a degree versus job. Each has its own this thing. So you can, I would suggest you could, discuss it with your parents also, because finances and all this, they would also have to play a very big part. And also there's this one, money is mostly the main factor in this for a lot of people. But I mean, y'all are in MIT Manipal paying what, 20 lakhs or something. So I don't think you should be cash strapped at least. So I mean, all right. Now that you've decided that, okay, let's say that you want to go immediately after graduation. So how do you proceed now? Obviously, first of all, you would want to select what field you want to do your master's in, which again is based on your interest. So you'd have to find what you're interested in, first of all. And then based on that, you would want to select what colleges are quote unquote good for your particular degree. Main headline that I want to give for this slide is, do not go by brand value. There are uh, contrary to our system, where you have a clear demarcation between various tiers of colleges. Over there, obviously, by and large, you know that there are some colleges which are way above the rest, but uh, judging from a particular field, you cannot really say that this college is the best, because even though let's take uh, let's say some normal, let's say University of South California or something, for example, for CS. Now their CS course is obviously, it's very good, but maybe what you're looking for in that CS course may not be to your liking. So in that regard, maybe some other see, like say Purdue, that might be more a much better fit for you, for your what you want to study. So brand value aside, okay, so if people are still, if you still want to mark on the brand value sort of thing, the average colleges in USA have way better quality of education than good colleges in India. So you can be safe, that you can rest assured that what you the quality of education that you're receiving is obviously way better than what we receive in India, since obviously it's the first world country. But say if you want to focus on a particular area of interest in this particular master's field that you want to pursue your degree in, some universities handle it better. They have their infrastructure has been focusing more towards that direction. And some universities, even though their brand might be more or less a bit higher, they might not be teaching what you like. So that is one thing that you have to take care of. Don't just look at the name of the college. You need to actually analyze what you're learning over there, uh, so that you actually make the most of these 2 years that you'll be spending and learning. Again, Ivy leagues. So by the same, in the same vein, Ivy leagues are. I have a pet peeve against Ivy leagues, because I generally don't like the whatever hue and cry that people make about them. I mean, okay, they're good, but you have other colleges that whose technical quality is as good as theirs, if not better. But yes, I will admit that you have all high profile people going to those colleges. So if networking connections, being part of the various historical societies that are there, if you like that, if you want to take advantage of that, then go for the Ivy leagues. More part to you. That's your decision. But you don't just have the hashtag crack Harvard or whatever people say. Don't be fixated on that single thing. There are many other colleges which have very good courses, even better than Ivy leagues. Like for example, if you talk about a CS degree, most people, the first things that come to people's minds is USCS, Caltech, Purdue, and all that. No one, very few people would actually talk about Brown University in the very first few names, even though Brown is an Ivy League. So that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about. And okay, once that after, so these are a few factors that I've listed down here, so which you can use to shortlist your decision for what universities you want to do. First of all is obviously what degree you're getting. I personally wanted to get a master's in robotics. Like that's the specific degree I wanted to get. Obviously, there were other degrees like masters in mechanical engineering or masters in computer science, which had a robotics minor focus sort of thing. But I didn't want that because, frankly speaking, even if I did get robotics, a majority of the curriculum would be, mostly mechanical or mostly CS, which I didn't like. And even though, I mean, the name, I wanted that name that, I'm a master's in robotics degree holder. So that's just my personal thing. For some, it might not matter. For some, it does matter. What courses are being taught, like I mentioned, don't go by the brand value. Actually observe, analyze what is being taught in the curriculum of the college that you're looking at. So in my case, what I did, since my particular interests are in humanoid robotics, soft robotics, and bioinspired engineering, so those 3-4 topics are what I uh, saw in the curriculum if they are addressing those topics. I also got, by analyzing curriculum, I also got to know about many new novel subjects that were being taught by many of the colleges. So that way you can also analyze what is being taught by the colleges and figure out whether what is being taught, is it a good fit for what you want to achieve and your, whatever current profile that you want to build. Because no one would want to spend 2 years learning something they don't like. I mean, we've already been whacked into our current state of bachelors because of parents' pressure or whatever. But now that you have the choice to select what you want, it's best if you make the most of the decision. Research opportunities, again, masters is very much research oriented. So again, you have to tie the courses along with the research opportunities. Uh, if the research opportunities at that college are pretty piddly, then I mean, if your main objective is research, pursuing your research profile, then you'd have to rethink your prioritization for the college. If you just want to get exposure and stuff, then you could prioritize courses. So it depends. You'll have to weigh both of them equally and select what colleges would be good based on how what's the trade-off between the course content and the research content. And also those who are more job oriented, you could also see the career outcomes of that particular college. Career outcomes is essentially the placement scene. Okay, so USA colleges, they don't have a placement drive. Like India is probably the only country that has a placement drive where companies come. They do have a job office, and they have job fairs, but they don't have a placement drive where companies come specifically to recruit students from a particular college. But of course, given the historical relationship the universities and everything have with the companies, you have internal considerations being made in the job fairs that the universities schedule for the various students. But you just putting this in mind that there's no placement, thing over there. So you'll have to essentially search for jobs on your own. Location, whether I've kept it at the bottom of the list because, frankly speaking, you shouldn't let that get in the way of your education. But most people, they tend to prioritize that, I mean, for their own personal reasons. So that's why I've kept that as a factor over there. Depending on whether you want to study in a cold climate, mild, warm-ish climate, depending on what you want to uh, feel, what you feel is a good climate for you to study in. I'm pretty sure most of the North Indian people would hate Manipal because it's so hot. I'm used to the heat, so I don't really mind it. And South Indian people, they probably don't care. But yeah, so these are the various factors. There could be many more, but these are the factors that are quantifiable. You can actually list them down. You could list the degree name. You can see what courses are being actually taught. You could see the research labs that are there in that campus. You could see what companies people are being recruited in. All this stuff you can get from the profile as in the websites of these particular universities. So it's stuff you can actually list down, make an Excel sheet, and see at a glance. The others are more subjective, where how the campus is like, or what's the culture like. People will have different opinions on that. So I haven't kept that as a consideration. So these are mostly objective factors. Uh, okay, so oh yeah, if you have any questions, put in the chat. I'll answer it as if it's pertinent to the task at hand, or I'll just take care of it after the session if it's a very long answer that's required. Okay, now that you've done that analysis and you've selected, you should have oh yeah, preferably you should have up to 6 to 8 colleges when you are selecting shortlisting for colleges you want for a particular degree. And for do you know some universities, not universities, academies, that sometimes people approach to get help with all this because they don't want to take on the headache of doing all this themselves. They will give you a tiered list of universities. 8 years is, you must have heard this terminology being used if anyone is interested in the higher study scene. Tier A or ambitious, tier B or moderate, and tier C or safe. So ambitious is you're probably reaching too high above your profile. Moderate is mostly your same level, मिल भी सकते मिल भी नहीं सकता है 50-50, and safe is you'll get it definitely. So these are 3 tiers that usually universities are clubbed into. Uh, Obviously, this again is sort of subjective, but you could make an objective tiering based on statistics that the universities give, which are the GPA requirements, the GRE scores, TOEFL scores, etc. So you could, so it doesn't really matter actually because they uh, evaluate the applications holistically. So even if you don't have a decent-ish GPA, if your profile is very good, then you will stand a very strong chance. So just you don't get disheartened if you have a very low GPA. I mean, my current GPA is what, 7.7 or 8 something, 7.8 something. So, and I'm still standing a good chance to get into many good universities because of the work that I've done so far. So don't worry if you have a lowish GPA. Okay. If you have any questions and stuff, put in the chat. I'll answer them later. Entrance exams. So I won't cover this much because I mean, honestly speaking, I won't cover a lot. I'll just give brief overviews of a lot of things here because you can get this stuff on the internet. Exam structure, when is the exam held, how much do you have to pay, what are the procedures for going to the exam and all that. I'll give my experience based insights over here because I mean you could just search this on online. GRE, and so GRE is for MS, GMAT is for MBA. TOEFL and IELTS are for English proficiency. TOEFL is US and IELTS is Europe. I make this distinction because TOEFL and GRE are given by ETS. ETS is the name of the organization, the US-based organization, which conducts these examinations. GMAT is a different organization, and IELTS is by British Council, if I'm not wrong. So it's generally recommended to take GRE TOEFL for USA because same organization and it's US, so they like that more. Uh, like the people who I know who took IELTS, they found it a bit of a pain to transfer scores and do whatever scale conversion or something that was required. TOEFL was very easy because it's all the same system used every year across all the universities. IELTS would be used more for Europe side, so that I'll get to later. As for study tips, most people say, take, I mean, personally, I would recommend, don't take it too hard on yourself because the GRE, GMAT, so both of them, they take, 10th level math, 10th, 11th level math. So you don't worry about solving differential equations or anything in this, in these exams. Yes, there will be a lot of statistics based questions. A major part of the exams I felt were based on analysis of tables and charts and stuff, and doing statistics based analysis, which makes sense because as a research assistant in the lab, you have to pour through a lot of papers, read through a lot of data. If you're an MBA guy, Excel's charts, sheets are what you'll be looking at the whole day. So it makes sense that they test that ability of yours in the exam. English is one very big obstacle for a lot of people because English is not, everyone's natural first language. For me, it was easy because, well, I'm an ICSE kid, so I've been doing very high level Shakespearean English ever since I was what, in fifth, sixth or so. But people who haven't been exposed to that, level of English, they might find it difficult to adjust to the very stringent requirements that the English sections in GRE and TOEFL that are there. uh, and also, so people recommend to solve very tough questions and everything. I would say depends on your own personal learning style. I personally, I did math for 2 3 weeks, just 3 weeks, and it was 3 hours every day. I didn't even grind any of the various books that people recommend. Like there's this some 4 pound book or something, pound book or something for GRE math related stuff, and there are a lot of other books that people tend to recommend. I didn't really bother with that stuff. There were free resources online, so random questions. I just took those. I solved those. ETS for the GRE, they have a certain document called the ETS Math Review, which is a general overview of all the mathematics topics that are there in the exam. So I literally just read through that and I solved the questions in that, and related questions related to those topics, I solved those, and I just saw formulae, cheat sheets. I didn't do JE style study, which a lot of people tend to get into by grinding all the problems in the book and everything. And I still got a decentish score. I got a 320 out of 340 in the GRE. So 160 out of 170 in math, 160 out of 170 in English. So that is a pretty good score, I would say. So, and that was without doing grinding for God knows how long, as other people tend to do. Uh, so don't take it too hard. I would say you should keep yourself flexible, because when you grind these problems, you tend to get into a rigid line of thinking, which might affect your performance in the questions, because the level is piddly. Your difficulty level is piddly. It's just very tedious, and there is a lot of read between the lines sort of thing that you have to do. Yeah. Scholarships. Okay, so I've added it here instead of in the application sort of thing, because usually at this time you could also start looking for scholarships. Unfortunately, there are very few scholarships for international students. If you see, when you look at any college application form and they ask you, have you applied for any scholarship? The drop down menu has God knows how many scholarships, but a lot of them are US only. Two that I am aware of. I'm not sure if they are for non-CS, but I know that they are for CS people. Fulbright and Kaplan. These were the two names that I heard floating around, which are scholarships for international students. There may be more which I am not aware of, uh, but usually universities, they offer scholarships themselves based on how good your profile is with relation to the university and what they want. So you could look into this, but don't keep this as a end all be all of your process. If you don't get any scholarship from outside, then the university, you still have a chance of getting it from the university. Coming to another point that I want to mention for scholarships, even ISA has something called an ISA scholarship. Where they give about $1,000 or $2,000 to the scholarship recipient to pursue whatever they want. So some people use it for higher studies, some people use it to fund their recent projects, and it's there every year. So it's eligible just for ISA members. So just some little ISA marketing over there. Uh, Okay, so application process. Okay, this is the big brunt of your entire thing. So you will spend the most time in this particular process. I've listed all the documents that you require from your end to procure before you sit down and do the application, starting with the transcript and GPA conversion. So the transcript itself, you okay, so all of you must have seen your mark sheets, or gotten your mark sheets from the college, the hard copy ones, where you see all your very sad GPA with all the grades and everything. But a transcript is different. It summarizes all your semesters in one page. So I do not have my transcript right now, or else I would have shown it to you. But how it essentially, it's like a tabular form where you have one box which shows your first semester marks, second, third, fourth, so on and so forth, until sixth semester or something. Uh, and that is usually what you send to the college that you're applying to. Send as in you put it in the application form. Some colleges for some reason, they ask semester-wise mark sheets. I don't even know why, but they have their procedures. But the semester mark sheets and the transcripts, they are essentially the same. So you could either, scan all of those mark sheets, keep it in one PDF and submit it, or preferably keep the official transcript, because later on what happens is, like in the form you will submit a PDF scan of your official transcript. When you receive an offer of admission, like I did from Delaware, they asked me to submit, they asked me to courier the official transcript to their office of admissions. I haven't done it yet because I still have to decide whether I'm continuing with them. But once you confirm your offer, you have to send your transcript. So it's better to have that at hand. And yes, once you finish sixth semester, as soon as you receive your grades on SLCM, get it done and there, because all the college related stuff, get it finished as soon as you can, so that you have that headache removed. And yeah, one more point. USA uses a 4.0 scale, which, I mean, it's from 0 to 4, and 2 is like the bare minimum. For India, it's 10 and 5 is the bare minimum. So if you get E's in your grade everywhere, you get a 5. The conversion, you have online converters like I've shown here. Scholaro is free, and it's usually used by most people to just get a guesstimate of their USA GPA, how it looks in USA terms. WES, World Examination Services or something like that, is paid, but some colleges they require this specifically. Like, you need a paid WES examination report to send over there. Some colleges are like, what did you calculate your GPA as? Or some universities, they just tell you, give us your current Indian wala GPA. Or very few colleges actually ask for a 4.0 GPA directly. Most universities, they ask you for the 10.0 scale one. Statement of purpose. Now, okay, I'll answer this after I deal with letters of recommendation, because college related things. So letters of recommendation and transcript is what you need from the college. And LOR is, everyone knows what an LOR is essentially the whoever your recommender is flexing your profile, talking about how good you are and everything. You need a minimum of 3 for each application. As in, you get an LOR from 3 people. You need it from 3 people minimum. I mean, you can use those LORs for your college applications. For students, like current students who are there, you can take it from your project guides, your HOD, and any other professor for which you have very good relations with, who has seen your work and can vouch for your work. Like, essentially, they'll mostly tell you to submit a LOR draft, which is what I had to do. So you can keep drafts of that ready based on what your relation is with the professor and everything. For those who will be working, those who take a job and then go, your best chances are your colleagues, whoever manager or any senior person that any clients that you worked with, and your current employer or manager. So that is regarding the LORs. The LOR itself, it's not a very big thing. It's kind of a formality where you just need, that person to vouch for you, saying, this person is a good guy, please take him. The usual format of LOR is, the first paragraph is explaining the relationship between the recommender, the guy who's writing the letter, and the recommendee, which is me, the person who's applying. Some people say that he was my student, or he was a student in my department, or he was my project, student worker. And then the next paragraph talks about, what he's done, how good he is, and all that stuff. And then the last is just, remember, just as usual, I recommend him for this university, please take him, something like that. Coming to statement of purpose. So the statement purpose and LOR is pretty similar. I would say, because LOR is someone else flexing for you, and statement of purpose is you flexing for yourself. So the academic statement of, so there are 3 statements of purposes, like the 3 categories. The academic statement is the proper statement of purpose, which usually people ask for, where you literally just flex your academics and projects and everything. You talk about, I did this, I did that, I was at this competition, I did this project, I know these XYZ skills, so please take me because I know all this stuff. The diversity statement and personal statement are optional usually. very few colleges actually ask for a diversity statement and a personal statement. It depends on the college. A diversity statement is essentially what you are doing to maintain inclusivity, or any. Could you describe social work stuff that you've done in detail? Yeah. So at the academic statement includes everything you've done. So your social work projects, competitions, anything. Uh, if you are required to write a diversity statement and a personal statement, only then you should make something separately, or else your SOP is essentially all three combined. So you talk about your personal motivations, any social work stuff you're doing, and also you flex your academic profile. Very few colleges ask for these two things separately. So in that case, you can just paraphrase stuff from your original SOP. Uh, for tips for this, you can start with a 1200 word draft, which is close to 2 pages or so, and then I would suggest compressing, making two versions, making a long version, which is a 1 page or 2 page SOP, and a 500 word SOP, which is a 1 page. So you'll have an ultra compressed version and the ultra expanded version. So some universities, they want a very short SOP, like 500 pages. Others, they don't have any restriction. So for those without any restriction, you can use a detailed one where you talk about everything. And the 500 one, you can just highlight the very important portions of your profile. In case that university asks for a 500 word SOP. Yeah. So, okay, I think I can't help but think I missed something. Yeah. So the forms themselves, you'll have to fill in a lot of. I mean, it's pretty tedious, the form filling process itself. So actually, this entire process up till now, the only time you will actually have to grind is doing the entrance exam prep. After this, everything is just tedious formalities, running to get documentation from college, sitting and writing your SOP and all that. Um, Oh, and for a timeline, I actually forgot to include a timeline slide over here. Timeline wise, the deadlines, the most deadlines for fall of 22. So fall is the current, style of schooling that we have. The academic year starts in June, July. That is fall. Some universities have winter where it starts in, December, Jan something, and some have spring where it starts sometime in, again, Feb, March sort of thing. So, these are the 2, 3 styles of intakes that the students have. Usually, most intake is done for fall because that's, the most popular one. Um, so I'm talking about fall time admissions. The timeline for most application deadlines is the first week of December. Now, obviously, most universities, they take way up to Jan 31st or Feb 28th or whatever. I would recommend finish everything off by December 1, because we all know our Manipal schedule, right? December is end sem time. So, and also there are a lot of deadline was December 9th. So submitted all universities applications, I could just stay sems until now. So I would recommend doing that. Applications open in September. And assume that they close in December first week. They open in September, close in December first week. So I would recommend can plan for October. You submit your October. Like plan for that way. Obviously, due stuff that happens, it can get dragged along, but you keep your deadline as October and then work backward. So if your application, you need to give your GRE slash TOEFL in September, August for GRE, study for a month and give TOEFL in September. It takes 2 weeks for course to reflect on the website. So if I give it on October, say September, score back on September 15. That way you could also try to plan for another attempt does not work. I gave 18 and then the second attempt that was like, okay, fine, I'm done. I don't want to take more pressure. Yeah, so is my voice breaking?
Yeah, it's breaking up a bit in between.
Okay.
Like your
Can't help it.
from the point you started about the admissions, like
What, say again?
uh, you said
Like
now how to set the
by
deadline.
when you have to complete the
Uh,
like deadline thing, like
from
1st
that
December.
point,
Okay,
yeah,
wait, hold on. Deadline.
Yeah, you mentioned
The
about
application
the
deadline.
1st of December
yeah.
that you have
After
to
that,
submit by then.
Okay. Yeah.
वहां से break
So
हुआ था.
assume that your application ends in December, so that you can keep your mind free for the upcoming, end sem and 8 sem stuff. So that means you submit your application in October. Plan for October. So that if you plan in October, that means your exam should be finished in the August to September timeframe. Actually, not even that. They should be finished way before. Your statement of purpose and LORs must be ready in the August/September timeframe. The exams should be done before August. So let's say you start in the summer vacations of third year, okay, which is like May or something. June, July, and August. So that is your time frame for grinding your exams out. Have 1 or 2 attempts of GRE also and TOEFL. Then you have 1.5 month for just sitting and doing your SOP. In the meantime, you can do your LORs also. So you can have your LOR and SOP be consistent based on what each thing is mentioning. And then once all that is done, by the time everything is over, you will come to October, and then you can aram say submit whatever you want to do. uh, okay, now that you've done all this, and yeah, so I say this, I've given this very long timeline because you can do it stress free. I had to speed run everything from September to October. So, in 2 or 3 months, I had to speed run literally everything. All this, the exam prep, the college searching, the SOP, LOR, all that. It was hell, especially given what the very hectic schedule that Manipal had at that time. So I would recommend that you start, from end of third year itself. Like the moment the NSEMs finish, you can sit and do this. Spend a little time every day so you can nicely, calmly, discuss with people, make more informed decision of what you want to do, so on and so forth. So it'll be just no more stress free for you overall. For me, it was, I was in a constant state of anxiety because I had to continuously keep track of everything. Um, and yeah, once you get, so you submit your application, and after that, you just have to wait. They say don't mail the admissions office for update, asking for updates. Even if you do mail, they just say your application is still awaiting. So the same thing's happening with me right now. I am just sitting around twiddling my thumbs. Most universities, they reply back very quickly. Some universities take their own sweet time to reply, even though they mention that we do rolling admission. So don't consider the speed of admission as how good the university thought of you. Okay, because there are some people who got rejections in 3 days, and there are some people who got admits after waiting for how long, 1 month, 2 months, or something. So the time frame doesn't matter. So all you have to do is just wait. So after that, there's nothing much you could do. What you could do is you could do a bit of the background work for getting your documentation in order. Visa, passport, any other financial loans related things that you want to do. In this case, your best friend is your bank. For visa, you have the government agencies or whatever. For the education loans, you can talk to your parents and the bank because they know, they've been dealing with this stuff for a long time. I purposely did not include discussion about that because I didn't want to give out inaccurate information, because it depends based on year to year. But the banks, they have all the procedures down pat. They'll help you out. For the visas, I mean, if anyone has applied for a visa before, it's the same old process. And so the visa that you'll be applying to is an F1, which is an academic student visa. This is different from the H1B, which is a working professionals visa, like international professionals visa. And for that, I'm not sure of the veracity of this information, but someone who's currently studying University of Michigan, he mentioned to me that there's this thing called a technological watch list that visa people look at apparently. So if you are working in some very, quote unquote sketchy fields like say robotics or UAVs or nuclear physics, so they scan your application more stringently. I mean, I'm not sure if it really matters, but just one thing to keep in mind: they might grill you a bit on what you want to do over there. So you just need to be clear on that you're going there just for studies and nothing else, and you have a clear plan of what to do. You're either going back or you'll work for a few years and then go back. Yeah, robotics is a sketchy field because you have UAVs, which what drones do in Afghanistan and stuff like that. So anything that can be potentially used for direct militaristic applications or terrorist sort of applications. I mean, how stringent the USA is with respect to their immigration policy. So I mean, they do check that sort of stuff. You don't not to worry so much. I mean, what will we even do? Just make sure that you are yeah, as someone mentioned here, you don't use it as a decoy to settle down there. Like people go there and they turn full homeless mode or squatter mode. So as long as you can convince them that you have a clear plan of what you want to do, you're good to go. As for living abroad, so first thing I want to say here is don't worry, everything's sorted over there. There's a very big Indian presence in USA. There's actually a very big, there's very big presence of everything. So you have supermarkets where you have full Indian khana, proper pre-packed, pre-made. You just have to go microwave and cook, preheat it. You have Indians over there, Indian communities over there who help students who are just coming out from India to United States, so they help them settle down. The colleges themselves have their own welcome committees or adjustment committees where fellow Indians who are already studying there, they help the freshmen out. So a lot of a lot of parents have this apprehension, कि बच्चा क्या करेगा वहाँ पे, कैसे करेंगे वहाँ पे. So I would say it's more difficult to get stuff like this done in India because there's no set system to get stuff done. Oh, there everything is pretty much set. So if you're living outside, it's very nicely done. Over here it's a bit iffy because I mean those who are staying outside Manipal, you all know what the BT is regarding the cooks and the maids and all that. They don't come, electricity, the appliances stop working, so that electrician takes God knows how many weeks to come. So we don't have you don't have to deal with that sort of stuff over there. It is expensive because I mean, it is a foreign country after all, and power of our currency and all that. So you'll have to so the university, what they do is after you accept their offer for admission, you receive something called an I-20, not the car. I-20 is the name of the form, and it's essentially you proving to the college. I mean, it's also used for e-visa application. Okay, so you fill the form showing that you have enough resources, like in your current account at this moment, with frozen, so that you can survive for 2 years over there. The financial timeline that they give is for 1 year, but it is recommended to show funds for 2 years. So whatever calculations that you have, like somehow Pittsburgh was 80K. So I need to show that I have 160K in my account, for 2 years. So it's just, even to show to university that, you won't end up homeless or something of that. In the visa, people, they see that, that do you have adequate money and resources to sustain yourself in case some emergency happens, so you don't end up stranded over there or choose to get yourself stranded over there, so to speak. And this is, I would say, if you have people staying over there in the university of your choice, you could ask them straight up. There is a Discord community, a Discord server called Indian Students Community in USA by Parth Vidya Vijay something like if you search this in Google, you will get the link to the Discord server. So it's all Indian students wishing to pursue masters in the US or who are in the US and who are working professionals also. So they'll help you evaluate your profile. They'll help you figure out whether a college is ambitious, moderate, safe. They'll give you tips for living abroad, all that sort of thing. So it's all completely free. So since I mentioned this point, um, I personally, I mean, someone had asked before, did I approach an academy for the whole process? Yes, I approached an academy for getting resources for the GRE TOEFL things and the admission process. So, I mean, I personally, I think I got off easy because I was charged only, 10, 20K total for the whole thing. But there are some agencies, like I've heard some people who've applied to other agencies, they got totally wrecked. Like they had to bleed like 60K plus and everything. Yes, someone has given the Discord link. So that is the link that you can use. And so honestly, I took it because I mean, I'm technically the first guy in my family who's going abroad for studies. So no one in my family had any clue, and I myself had no clue. So I was like, I'll offload the burden of my headache to onto someone else who already has all the resources done for me. But it is possible to not take the help of anyone. Use free resources, use a Discord server, and get it done. So I would recommend this method, but it's just that some people just don't have the time or patience to do it. Like if you're a working professional who will sit and go through all this, so you can offload that work to any academy. Just make sure they don't rip you off by giving you 60K or something, like you taking 60K from you. So yeah, that's about it for about the after admissions sort of thing. So now that you've done all this, you're in the university and you're approaching your graduation day over there. What next? What lies beyond? So some people think about pursuing a PhD immediately after that. And to that, I would say if you do get an offer, you could take it if you want. But I would recommend doing getting work experience before going for a PhD, because the key difference between a bachelor, an undergraduate, a graduate, and a PhD is that a bachelor's, is a hyper generalist degree. So just, jack of all trades in that particular field. Master is a general specialist. So you have a field that you're specializing in, but that field itself has, some couple of fields that you are a generalist in. A PhD is completely different in that you pick one specific topic in that specific field, and you have to become the god of that particular topic. So you will know nothing else except that very specific topic. Like if to give an example, robot. If so, I'm a mechatronics engineer, so I have general uh, info about mechatronics. I'll be pursuing my master's in robotics, so I will have more in-depth knowledge related to robotics as opposed to IoT. But again, there are many fields in robotics which I would be generalist in. So I am specialized in robotics, but I'm still a generalist when it comes to these sort of fields. If I pursue a PhD, I would have to pick a very specific topic, such as control systems for autonomous legged robots, like autonomous six-legged robots, that specific. And I would have to do my PhD in that. And it's a very long process, like a 6-year process. I mean, it's not a fixed timeline. It's like can take anywhere from 4 years to 8 years or something. And once I get my PhD, I mean, you ask me anything in that particular topic, I will tell you everything. But anything apart from that, I mean, I won't know anything. So because this is very risky, because if you take any random PhD, you'll end up spending God knows how many years of your life, and you'll end up jobless. I mean, I personally have seen a couple people, not in my acquaintances, like acquaintances of acquaintances who did PhD and everything, and now they're just jobless because they took a weird PhD or something. So I would recommend you get experience first. You work in the industry for at least 5 to 10 years, 10 years I would say 10 years before you even think of approaching a PhD, because you need to get that experience to understand what you actually want to truly specialize in. Because till that point you've only been studying, you don't have any real life experience, so to speak. So how would you expect to make such a big decision when you don't have the required, ground experience to decide whether you want to specialize in this exact topic? So usually what happens is you do your masters. Most people, they do their masters, they get industry exposure, and then while you working, you tend to gravitate towards a certain line of work. So like towards the 10-year period, you will find yourself doing just this day in day out as your work. So then you could say, okay, wait, maybe I could just go for a PhD in this particular line of work that I'm doing. It would obviously help you because that is a line of work that you've been doing for so many years. So it would instantly elevate your status in that particular line. Uh, but like I said, don't make the mistake of just rushing to get a PhD after you graduate, because you'll get some weird PhD and you'll be sitting jobless, literally, because no one would want that PhD should be of use. You don't just take the PhD for the sake of it, unless you want to go down the academic path. In which case, do BTech honors, do masters, do PhD. Just at least just end up in a good college where you can actually earn a living by teaching. So yeah, that is one thing. Now coming to non-USA countries, so the procedures that I talked about, they are specific to United States of America. But if you talk about say Canada, Canada is mostly the same as America. There are a couple, different detours such as the MyTax Global Link Research Internship, which is there for the third years, like the third years going to fourth years. So they can avail this opportunity. So it gives them a research internship on campus in all the Canadian universities. So it gives them an edge when they apply for Canadian universities. Germany, it adopts more of the polytechnic approach as opposed to the academic college approach, because over there education is pretty cheap, like education and living costs and all that, but their learning is very job oriented. Even their intake requirements are very stringent. Like they focus more on your hardcore academics, because their reasoning is that you've studied as much as you can. Now you are pursuing this thing so that you can get specialized training, so you can be of use to the economy. Same thing with the other, mostly European countries, but you'll see this in Germany a lot. So even when in case of robotics, you the robotics degrees over there are very, proper industrial robotics automation sort of thing. In the US, it's more of, research and, exploring the various fields, which I personally liked. So if anyone is wanting to do some hardcore industrial stuff, you can go to Germany. There is a language barrier. Of course, yes, there are colleges which have English language courses, but I would recommend, you are living in a different language country, so you should have some people recommend B1. I think like that's the level of German certifications that they require. Similar with Japan. Japan is very it's a there's a very big gap in the culture, the food, the everything. There's a very big gap between India and Japan when it comes to this sort of thing. So you'll see very less people go to Japan, but the robotics scene over there is very good. I mean, I know only about robotics, so you can do this sort of search for any other fields that you're interested in. Uh, but yeah, so like preference wise, people go to the English speaking countries more, like US, Canada. Then people go to Germany, and then people go to more of the less esoteric countries like Japan, or some other country like maybe the UK or something like that. So yeah, that was it for a general overview of the various masters, things that are there, the process that's required, how you go about it. Uh, Now, so I'll go through all the questions that people have given. If you have any more, you can put them in chat and I'll answer as they go along. Did you take counseling for SP prep? Yes, I did. Like I mentioned, I had to give 10K, 20K for it. So there were, I mean, depends on the academy, but so I had to fill out a big form where I had to list in tabular format everything I did. I did this project, I learned this, I faced XYZ challenges, and because of this, I learned whatever. So that gives that it's actually a pretty good method for you guys also, whoever is doing it on their own, because you can use that to actually quantify what is important to include and what is not as important to include. So in my case, I prioritized all my major project work. I was an MRM, so I did that. I was president of ISA, so I included that. And then any of the major projects that I did, as you know, under the department, I included that. So those were like the 2-3 big stuff that I did. Don't tend to include every little thing that you put that you've done in your life till now. They are interested in that. They want you to highlight the best that you can showcase. If you really do want to, oh yes, another thing that I forgot about this is, apart from recipe and LORs and all that, you also need to provide a resume. Now you have, I mean, I could give a resume format. It's actually, you could find it online. It's made using LaTeX, LaTeX, and it's a very bare bones format for a resume. And obviously, the general rules for making a resume apply. Keep it within 2 pages and all that. As for how the resume is structured, I had to do education first, then my project work, any social work that I did. So since I am the student coordinator for the peer program, I included that in there. uh, then my extracurriculars, which was the whatever student project stuff I did, the clubs that I was part of, all that, and then any MOOCs and workshops that I attended. So I added those. So this is the general flow of the resume for a master's point of view. If you are a working professional, you would probably find it better to put your work experience on the first page. I mean, I was a student, so for me, studies and projects, that should be highlighted. Working professionals can highlight the work experience if it is relevant. If you did HR for some time and then you're going for master in robotics, there's no point in showcasing it on the front page. But if you did work in robotics startup, then yes, you should put it front and center if you're applying for a master in robotics. Do you need a TOEFL or IELTS score if you can show your medium of instruction as English for second, 12th and UG? So some universities, okay, so this is kind of a gray line. Some universities say that if you've undergone English instruction, you've undergone English instruction, university may bachelor's or whatever, they don't really require. But then that very same university, in their website for international students, they mention guidelines for India saying that you need TOEFL or something. So just take the TOEFL. I mean, it won't hurt to take the TOEFL because the preparation is the same. The English portion of GRE is the same as TOEFL. It's just you just grind English only instead of math and English, as is the case with GRE. So you prepare for a GRE first. You can do math and English. Once the GRE is done, then you can do the TOEFL portion. So in the TOEFL portion, you'll have to just grind the spoken section where read out and you speak on a particular topic. 5 types. So that's the only thing that you have to do specific for TOEFL. But yeah, bottom line is do the TOEFL. If you're doing USA, do the TOEFL more. I would recommend. If you're doing Europe related things, do IELTS. When should a person ideally start studying for JEE and TOEFL? Okay, so like I mentioned, timeline. The moment your third year is done, exams are done, exams is done, start studying then only. Give it like 1 month or 2 months of study, then give a couple of attempts of GRE TOEFL. Then that should, by that time you should be in the August September time frame. Then you spend 1 month, 1.5 months to get transcripts, transcripts, LORs and SOP done, because you'll be in campus at that time. So it'd be easy for you to run to academic session, run to the faculty's office to hound them to get the LORs and stuff done. So that I'm thinking of that in mind. And then once that's done, you can submit your application. Yeah, yeah, depends. ICC people have a easier time. That I admit. I had a very easy time in the English portion. I mean, I didn't study much of English, so I got good. So I got 320 in the GRE, and I got 111 out of 120 in the TOEFL. Also, one thing is, I mean, 320 out of 340 sounds big, but it's not, because for some dumb reason the GRE scores start from 280. So it's 280 to 340. I don't know why they've done this way, but that's the case. 315 is a good baseline. So try not to go below that, because I mean, you shouldn't go below that. 320 plus is considered a good score for applying to universities. If you're above 330, then you're not my friend because you're a topper. But if you get 330, then you can party or something. does scholarships apply for US citizens living in India? If you're a US citizen, then you can apply for a US scholarship. That is, that's, yeah, as far as I remember, that is the thing. That citizenship is the main problem, because the Kaplan and Fulbright, they are exclusively for international students, coming to the US or something. There are a lot of community-based scholarships, like scholarships for persons of color, scholarships for minority people. I mean, lots of other random scholarships are there, but which are for US citizens. So if you have a US citizenship, like whatever your green card or whatever that's there, then you could check if you're eligible for it, even if you're staying somewhere else. Can you explain how much conference / research papers, making real prototype, being part of some? Okay, so you're okay. So this is talking about how much your profile side. Okay, now there are two lines that people actually. I'll actually stop sharing since it's just me talking now. Yeah, so there are two ways that students usually go for when you are going for a master's. One is the hardcore academics track, where you keep your GPA up, you do BTech honors, and you do a research paper. So that's like the hardcore academic track. So, and that is usually what most people do, and that's a suggested. People usually suggest this, that your GPA should be high, you should have a research paper, you should have if you can go for a BTech honors, go for a BTech honors. I don't like that, because I mean, if you're studying all the time, then what will you do getting real life experience? So the other method, the other way that people go is the profile version. So this is academics GPA track, and this is the experience track. So by experience track, extracurriculars, doing projects. I mean, research papers also sort of comes in this. If you have relevant job experience, like if say I'm applying for robotics and I worked as HR somewhere, I mean, it's not going to help. But if I worked in a robotics startup, that will help. So relevant is the keyword here. But yeah, from student point of view, if you're going immediately after graduation, then if you're there of some student project, if you're there, if you've done some individual projects on your own, if you have worked under a faculty, if you've done so, if you've worked in some factories somewhere, what we call the real industrial training, जो रहता है ना. So obviously that will definitely help, because it actually shows that you have the real life application to cover up for what your studies you've not been doing. So you've supplemented your academic study with practical experience. So like I said, the universities take your application holistically. They evaluate as a whole. So in case your academics aren't that good, they would expect you to supplement it with practical experience, which is what I did. I mean, 7.8 something isn't that great as opposed to people who 9 pointers and everything who tend to go. But I was able to supplement it with other projects and other research work that I've done. So some people might grind this academics portion, some people grind the experience portion. I prefer grinding experience, because even if God forbid nothing works out and you don't get a reply from any universities, at least you can use this experience to get yourself a job. I mean, these Padaku people, I mean, it might be pretty difficult for them to get a job because you don't have any practical thing. Okay. For universities such as CMU or UPenn, what do they consider more competitive for international scholarships from the perspectives of admission officers? I don't understand what you mean by competitive, but like scholarships, I mean, if you get a scholarship, then good. There's nothing like competitive as such. So, like I mentioned, the websites have statistics that they give, where they show the average GPAs and the average GRE scores and the average TOEFL scores of the applicants. So if you pass that, then obviously you've passed that whatever cutoff that's there. In case you haven't, then don't worry. Obviously, the other stuff that you've listed here, like Olympiads, exchange programs, entrepreneurship, of all that is grinding the profile bit. So obviously that is going to help. That will definitely help. And also the considerations between an MS and an MBA will obviously differ, because MS would prioritize more technical expertise. MBA would prioritize more soft skills slash leadership slash whatever, that sort of expertise. So if you've done only technical work till now, you should, MS would be more advantageous to apply for than an MBA. And if you've done only management till now, then MBA would be a good fit for you. Okay, someone had their hand up. Yeah, Panil. You had your hand up. You have a question? Hello. Okay. But yeah, like I was saying, so what all this thing that you mentioned, this portion comes in the profile portion. So obviously people will definitely like that. The universities that, I mean, suppose you want to take an internship after third year end, is it manageable to do that and do the for college admissions? So this will depend on the timeline of this internship that you're looking at and the exam prep. So portion after that, the formalities and everything, that's time pass. So that you could get it done in a week actually. The LORs and the transcript. SOP will take a while because you need to reread it again and again. But the document gathering portion is very chill. Just this exam portion, you'd have to focus on this. So you'll have to just see if the timelines of the internship and your exam prep, do they clash or not? So that's just one thing you'll have to look out for. Um, yeah, what's the difference in cost between USA and Germany? USA is very expensive. Germany, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but education is highly subsidized over there. Like it's very low, or I think it's even free sometimes. Living costs are there, not as much as the States, definitely. But like I mentioned, their outlook for this is we are supporting you in all this. Like what their thought process is that we as a country are supporting you in all this. But after this, you better get a job, or else why you even staying here? So they are very stringent in their intake requirements. They require high academics and all that stuff, or very good work experience. And then it's the curriculum is very work related, very job related, industry related. Is Japan expensive? Well, the Japanese rupee is pretty much similar to ours, and living cost wise is very less. But there's a very big cultural, language, everything gap between India and Japan. So some people might find it very uncomfortable over there. I mean, if you're full otaku or something, I mean, go for all you want. But yeah, it's very difficult to adjust to the life over there. Studies, the education is fine. You have English language places over there also. And but of course you'd have to learn Japanese, which is pretty difficult if I say so myself. I mean, I've only done a bit of hiragana and all that, and I found it difficult. So if you go on to kanji and all that, is going to the difficulty level would spike exponentially. The courses did you also counted? Yes, definitely, but preferably supplemented with some project, because if you just have any MOOC thing, that I have loads lying around. You can get the answers to all those Coursera courses and everything online, but if you can showcase that what you've learned in that particular project, in that particular course, if you can get a project out of the thing, then that will make the certificate much more valuable. I mean, it has some value. I mean, you did spend some time doing it, but if you have a project to complement that certificate, capstone project or something like that, then it's very good, very good. Uh, do the projects have to be related to a field for college's job consideration? Can relate to engineering department? Okay, so this is sort of gray area, because if you say you're a CSP person and you ended up doing mechanical things, so it won't matter for a CS masters or a CS job. But if you are going for manufacturing sector type field, then it would definitely help. uh, so that was you'll have to make sure that the profile that you're using is optimized towards what you are aiming for. Because if say I'm a mechatronics engineer, and then I have done zero management in my life and I'm applying for an MBA, it'd be a bit iffy, as opposed to I'm a mechatronics engineer and I did a lot of management work. So that sort of thing you have to see. Does management work for SPs holding value? Yeah. Because SPs have, I would argue that SPs have proper management work because you have financials, you have Gantt charts, you have their what export duty related stuff to take care of. Club management is more of general HR/event organization management work. SP is proper what we see in your corporate management, where you actually have to pour at Excels for long periods of time, make presentations, what like I mentioned, Gantt charts, financials, and all that. So yeah, it would help. It would help. Is there a common app or condition portal for masters? We apply individually. You have to apply individually for every university. That is one headache that you have to take care of. No two ways about it. Oh, this common app org. Yeah, that could be. But I would recommend you actually see each website individually, like college website, because each website has its own um, idiosyncrasies and different ways of handling the application process itself. So I preferred, I just did each thing individually. You're in, okay, I'm in a core mechanical SP. What should be the courses or projects that will complement my mechatronics course? Okay, mechatronics now. So I'm assuming that you want to spec more into the mechanical side. So your core mechanical SP, whatever it is, if it so if you want to spec more into mechanical, then your best bet would actually be to ask the mechanical department people what are they actually learning, and you can use that to further your study in that department. So off the top of my head, I can think of theory of machines, design of machine elements, automated manufacturing systems, um, what else, production operations and management, all these hardcore mech related topics, automobile engineering, these sorts of things. So you could, if in case you want to spec into hardcore mechanical, you could take this line. If by mechanical you mean the mechanical side of mechatronics, like robotics math and all that, then there are various robotics resources. Actually, since you're a mechatronics student, you would already be in our peer program Discord. So that has resources for what I'm referring to, the robotics side and everything. So you could just refer to that. How do the colleges of Europe ETS compare US ones in general? Different flavors. There's no, you can't compare them apples and oranges. Like I mentioned, the attitude they take towards education is different. It's more like you take it's a means to an end for them, of Germany and Europe in general, because they expect you to utilize the skills that you've learned in a actual job. So you'll find a lot of them segueing into industry work, whoever's graduated from there. US college is the end. Like you go and your purpose is to learn as much as you can in college. So what you do after that, I mean, it's up to you. So like I mean, it's just different ways of going about it. Can we skip the LORs? LORs are important. It's required for the application. You can't do it without an LOR. That's what I was saying. Quality of the project. Yeah, of course. I mean, if you have, like this one project that you've been doing for 3 years and it's like really breakthrough stuff, then obviously that would be much better than if you do what 5 mini project things or something. Like that's why you'll see a lot of people, they have maybe one research paper, like that one research paper, okay, that's it, but that research paper is pretty good and that alone gets them a seat in a pretty good college. And then you have again on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who are literal all rounders, like pretty good in everything, like not top level like this guy here who had one research paper, but that research paper was very very good, but they compensated in the all-rounder portion. So even these guys have a good chance. So don't worry if you have that one big highlight of your engineering. If that's not then in your profile, then don't worry. You can compensate by working in other department, like spreading yourselves over other things. Singapore. Oh yes, Singapore. Singapore is also pretty good. I'm not sure about the quality of the universities, but people that I have interacted with over there, they're pretty good. Like the university is pretty good. I think NTU or something is the name of the university, National Technology something. In Singapore, that's pretty good. I worked with researchers from Seoul National University, also Korea, from Korea. They are also very good. So if anyone wants to, I worked with them for a soft robotics related project. So they have good robotics presence and also like good presence in Korea. So if anyone's thinking of Korea, also again Korea and Japan, similar culture gap, food gap, all that sort of gap. So you just need to keep that in mind. But yeah, it's very good, very good. I think Korea is more easier to adjust because it's more westernized than Japan. Uh, yeah, yeah, in US and India, yeah, those are the names of the cultures. Yeah, does anyone have anything else? Oh wait, there. I think there are some questions in the form. I'll just check them out. Does anyone else have any questions? So you could unmute your mic and speak now since yeah, Tejal.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask is I asked about the skipping the LOR thingy, right? What I meant is like if we don't do a project under a faculty, do we have to get it from the faculty itself? That's what I wanted to know. Is it like compulsory to be from the faculty, or could we get it from somewhere? Like if we do an internship somewhere and if we ask,
So anywhere work. So I said I made a demarcation because mostly students, a lot of students haven't done any internships. Like I haven't done any internships. I spent my time doing projects and everything. So my sources of LORs were like I was part of ISA. So ISA senior members say I got one LOR. I got one from Chandrasekhar sir, who was the HOD at the time, and I got one from Asha madam, who is my current project guide for the thing that I'm working on, the project that I'm working on. So these are the 3 LORs that I got. Someone who has done more internships would usually get LORs from their employer for that internship. Like they usually give, or you could just ask the manager over there, or can you give me an LOR? So that thing is that as long as those LORs are from good people as in people who can actually vouch for what you're doing, and uh, it actually complements what you are. It affirms what you've been writing about in your SOP and what you've been writing about in your resume. If it complements that, then doesn't matter where you get it from. Like frankly speaking, HOD hadn't taught a subject for me, but because he was HOD, I thought why not get it from him, because I'm a mechatronics student in his department, he's the HOD. So like I mentioned, they will ask you to, the professor people will ask you to give a draft so you can write whatever you want. The employers, they might make their own. I mean, they might have whatever their formats or anything that is there. So theirs would be, you can't send a draft. I mean, if they ask, they're lazy and they ask, then very good, or else they'll just give you what they've written. I'm in first year, so I have no idea of projects and research papers. Could you explain a bit? Okay, so when I refer to project, I refer to anything that you've been doing, which is not in a curriculum lab. So even if you've let's say robotics lab one, for instance, okay, where we had to program one of the robotic arms. Now, if after the lab is done, I decide to do some more funky stuff with the robotic arm, make it do some weird pick and place, or do some uh, some other wacky operation with the robot. That would count as a project, because that is something that I've done on my individual time. It's not forced by the college or anything. Okay, compared to research, which is research again, you submit, you do proper work for maybe a semester or a year, and you get to you go and submit your whatever work that is there in a conference or in a journal, something like that. So I can't that's about as much as I could actually say about those things. Okay, now as to how you should go about it, best way for either thing is if you're looking for a project, actually if irrespective of whether you're doing a research paper or a project, look at the curriculum. Like the best place to start is your current curriculum. Okay, look at what is being taught in your curriculum and try to dig deeper past what is being taught. Like suppose first year, right? So I'm assuming physics cycle, so let's say BME. Okay, so let's say you've learned about IC engines. Now in IC engines themselves, there's a lot of things that would not have been taught at that point in time. Like maybe you must not have heard about the Carnot cycle, or maybe you must not have heard about, you know, whatever your spark frequencies or what are spark timings, whatever that's there. So take the effort to actually read ahead of what is being taught in the curriculum. You can do this for every subject that you've been taught. You know, every subject, I mean every, because that way you'll actually get some exposure in all the subjects that you've been taught from a conceptual point of view. Because right now, the things that you'll be taught is more, you know, just to complete the course plan and exams and everything. What do you actually do with that info? You'll have no idea. So when you do your Google searches, when you see your YouTube videos, when you see, you know, read stuff that other people have done, that way you'll be able to understand what I can actually do with the information that I've gained. So that will obviously bring forth new ideas from maybe a project, maybe you know, a research paper idea for which you could approach a faculty and say, tell them that I have this idea, I want to bring it to fruition, could you please help me? Or I'm interested in this particular field but I don't know what to do, you have any project related to that I could work under you for? Maybe they say yes, or he maybe direct you to some place else. So that way you'll have to you know, put your foot forward in that direction for that respect. Oh yeah, there is one. Okay, yeah, Tarush had a question here. What are the options for students who have very low financial budget? So I mean, this is kind of difficult for me to answer because apart from loans, I mean, I can't think of anything else. I personally am not aware of any scholarships where which are towards, you know, people who are facing financial difficulties. But yes, now that I remember it, most colleges, they include, you know, they have provisions saying, are you undergoing any particular financial stress, or something like that, or like you have to mention that in the form. Are you how much difficulty are you facing at home or something like that? So based on that, they might give some financial concession. Along with that, oh, I actually forgot to mention this. When you're in the college, there are two positions that are offered to you. One is a teaching assistant, where you actually help the professor, whoever your professor is, conduct, you know, help him with his class scheduling, notes, dissemination, whatever. And you have a research internship, a research assistantship, where you work in a research lab. So both these positions are paid positions, and the university will provide concessions for the same. So if you are a student and a graduate student, and whatever fees that you're paying, that fees ka total will be cut. If you're, say, you know, a teaching assistant and slash or a research assistant, so whatever payment salary that you get from this will be deducted from the fees that you are owed, so you have to pay less in the end. So that is one avenue. And most people say that, you know, you take a part-time job or something. I personally, I'm not a fan of that, because I mean, you've gone there to study, not to work. But yeah, I mean, in case you're really cash strapped, and you really want to do a master's, I mean, this is, you could try out some part-time jobs, you know, or online remote work from home sort of gigs. But yeah, the initial seed is loans, or, you know, getting scholarships from any place that you apply to. That's the only thing I can think of right now that I came across while I was reading up on this topic. Yep. Is there anything else? Anyone? Okay, so I'm assuming there aren't any questions. I think I've covered everything that I could to the best of my ability in this current session. If you do have any, oh, right. One final footnote before we, you know, close for the day as such. If you do not have a LinkedIn profile, please make it, because LinkedIn is your one ticket to publicizing everything related to your work to the world. No matter what you do, whatever your research, your projects, your courses. No one will know about it if you haven't posted about it on LinkedIn or something. So if you don't have an account, especially first years, start now. At least fill the stuff that like your picture, any cool background image if you want for the banner, an about yourself thing, education portion, any courses that you've done. Start from there. Then slowly you could start being more active on the platform. Start liking other people's posts, commenting, asking stuff about other people's work. Then as you make your own things, you can post about them. I mean, a bit slight marketing here, but you could check my own LinkedIn profile. So you can see how I've structured my own LinkedIn profile. I did the same way after looking at others' profiles and after having my own whatever ideas and such. So you can use that as inspiration for building up your own portfolio, your own thing, your own digital footprint, so to speak, of your professional work. This is very important because you can put this on your resume. You can put this anywhere. You can send it to anyone. That one LinkedIn profile, it can land you jobs. It can land you, better chances at anything. Like a lot of I myself have been approached a couple times for job opportunities, although I had to turn them down because I could not attend to them. Pursuing masters and everything. But at least they approached me because they saw my LinkedIn profile and they saw the stuff that I was doing, and they felt that my profile might be a good fit for what they're looking for. For example, I got this one internship offer from this place called BotSync way back before lockdown. So I mean, lockdown happened, so it got trashed. But so he saw the work that I was doing and he felt that he should reach out. So similarly, another guy approached me. It actually happened a couple of weeks ago. I had to turn him down because I said I have my masters in mind, but I will contact you later if in case I wish to. So this sort of stuff happens. You won't unless you put yourself out there. No one will approach you. Faculty, employers, no one. So get yourself out there and just get your activity up. Doesn't matter what you post. I mean, it does matter what you post, but don't wait for a big achievement. A small course that you've done, something interesting you saw, and just want to put out there, do it. My very first post was a LinkedIn, no, not LinkedIn. There's this thing where NASA's Perseverance was going to Mars, and they were like, everyone can print out their own ticket for Mars. So that was my very first post. It was a picture of the ticket. So I mean, you can start small. You don't have to wait for a very big achievement to post on LinkedIn. MRM project Manas depends on what you want to do. Manas, I would say, is more CS oriented based on what I have seen of them. MRM is more space robotics oriented. Again, depends, like people have replied, depends on the subsystem and interest, because even Manas again is more hardcore mobile robotics AI side. MRM, I've been MRM, so I can say for sure that it's definitely more mechanically intensive and more towards the space robotics sort of side. I was part of research subsystem, so my work portfolio is more varied towards the hardcore robotics side. But if you're there in one of the rover subsystems, your work will be more towards actually building the whole thing, whereas Manas's was more towards the AI sort of thing. I mean, I may have misjudged them entirely, so sorry if anyone's in Manas here, but that is what I was able to experience, like being in there with them and everything. What about Rugved? Rugved is military tech. So I don't know if that would be cause for concern because of the watch list and everything. But again, it's military tech. So I don't know about abroad, but even in India. Oh yes, I totally forgot about mentioning about India. So the stuff I talked about for abroad. In India, you have the gate. Now you will have to see your particular. If you want a master's in particular field, you have to give the gate for that particular field. Now, in case I want to do CS, I have to give the gate for CS. Mechatronics is a bit of a between a rock and a hard place because we don't have a mechatronics gate. So we either give mechanical or we give EC or ENI based on what you've been doing. So that is there. India is pretty easy. You just give that gate and you apply. That's it. So there's no headache that you have to do much for masters in India as such. Rigved, yeah, Miltech. So it's definitely more mechanically intensive, I would say, depending on what you want to do, because you have Miltech AI and Miltech mechanical stuff also. Um, don't really plan. Yeah, up to you, dude. If you can, if you want, if you want to busy your free time in making projects and doing other productive things, then you don't need to really join a student project. I joined it because why not? I get a more structured workplace, and I wanted to actually explore. I wanted to push myself. So I felt that a student project was the best place to do it. But if you feel that a student project is not for you, if you prefer the more flexible work culture of a club, then more power to you, as long as you are doing something productive in the end. Robotics and circuits. I mean, the name is robotics and circuits, so I mean, all the student projects are good. I mean, don't ask me each about each one. They're all different flavors. They all deal with completely different avenues. Formula Manipal deals with automobile. So if you're going for automobile related stuff, then obviously it's a very good fit for your profile. TMR, again, it's more Baha SAE wale things, so off-road racing and all that. MRM, again, space robotics, rovers, thrust, rockets, aeroplanes, Manas, AI slash ground vehicles. So it's all different flavors of what you actually want to do. Each student project is good in its own right. So there's no bigger or smaller or so anything. Even if, even apart from SP, if you can do personal projects, then very well, you can very well do it. Some people like I mentioned, you don't need a student project to do what you want to do. Like if you want to learn anything, obviously I would say it makes the process easier because you have a structured environment, you have peers to actually work with, and you have a goal to work towards, like a competition or something. With self projects, you tend to go astray unless you are very dedicated and have a very good work ethic. So I mean, if you can do it, then very good, because you have the flexibility. You can learn whatever you want, and you can get like-minded people from anywhere. There are loads of community groups and loads of clubs. Join any one of them, or you could just have a open announcement saying, "I'm working on this XYZ project. Is there anyone interested in working on it?" So you maybe find someone, something like that. So it'll definitely help. It'll definitely help. Yeah, what actually matters more is what you learn from it. So yeah, that bottom line to the thing. My throat is sore from talking for so long. Does anyone else have any more questions? Drink water. Yes, I will. Okay. Okay, I'm assuming no one has any more questions. So thank you all for attending. If you do have any more questions, I mean, those who if you are in the mechatronics department, you know me already, so you can contact me on the Discord or any other channels. You can contact me on LinkedIn. You can connect on LinkedIn. What else? Yeah, or you could just message me on Teams. Yeah, just these are three places you could contact me if anyone wants to contact me, or even through ISA, because I'm also a member of ISA. So if you want any such things like this, so I could from ISA side you could have it done. Also, one small footnote: if you want to join ISA, so if we are having our recruitments at the end of this week. I presume, yeah, we are having recruitments this week. So if anyone is interested in joining, you can join. Okay, so with that said, I think we'll stop here. Good to see that many of you all were interested in learning more about this. I mean, I personally started doing all this when I just started fourth year. So it's good to see that you all are actually taking some focus from now itself. And with that said, so good night everyone. अच्छे से खाना खाओ, get good night sleep, and we'll see you in the next event. Okay, guys, so bye.
Thank you.